welcome everybody to our TechEd workshop, which is titled Take Advantage of Templates in Document Information Extraction. In the session today, we want to present the latest advancements in document information extraction service, which is one of the AI business services available on SAP Business Technology Platform. We will focus today on the extension capabilities of document information extraction, namely the schema configuration and the template-based document processing. My name is Tomasz, Janasz, and I'm the area product manager for the services related to business document processing at SAP. With me is Karthik. Karthik, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karthik. I'm a senior data scientist working with the AI business services team.
Today, yes?
Sorry, please go ahead.
Yeah. Today, we want to cover following aspects. First of all, we will give you an introduction to document information extraction, so you will understand what the service is capable for and what the background of the service is. Then we will run a hands-on workshop where you will see in a couple of exercises how to use the schema configuration and the template creation extension. And at the end, we will also share a couple of relevant use cases, the reference architecture, and the available consumption options of this service. And finally, we also included a short Q&A session at the end of the presentation so that we can answer any questions if there are any. So the objective of the call today is to learn how to use document information extraction and its extension capabilities. So first of all, let me give you a short primer to document information extraction. So what do we understand as business document processing at SAP? Many processes in enterprises still involve processing of large amount of business documents, be it, for example, supplier invoices in accounts payable or customer orders in sales. Even though we all know that there are various ways to electronically exchange information today, still large amounts of documents are processed manually. So, for example, in 2019, 550 billion invoices changed hands on an annual basis. So the challenge that we see is to automatically transform unstructured documents into structured information and embed it directly into business processes to generate instant business value for our customers. And this is exactly the definition of our value proposition that our AI business services related to business document processing offer. So business document processing usually is related to the OCR, so the optical character recognition, but it's a common misconception. In our opinion, business document processing typically consists of three main steps. First of all, classification. So when a document arrives, you need to understand what type of document it is in order to know what to do with it in a subsequent process step. Then there is extraction of business relevant information out of this document. And here we talk about the semantical information that can be found and the information that is logged on a specific business document. So you don't want to extract only the string of the document, but you also want to understand what entities are relevant for the business process. And finally, there is also need for enriching this information with additional master data and posting it back to the system of record for further processing or reconciliation. Value can be seen in increased automation rate, meaning less human involvement in the process and higher efficiency of the business process. Higher accuracy by leveraging latest machine learning algorithms that are provided out of the box by SAP. Increased processing speed and operational efficiency. And finally, with all that, the companies can achieve significant cost reductions by, for example, reducing human labor in the related business processes. So now let's have a look at the portfolio of AI business services related to business document processing that are provided on SAP Business Technology Platform. The first one is document classification. It classifies documents into customer-specific categories. It takes document image as an input and assigns a corresponding class to it. The example in the blue box shows that a classification result can be for some typical business documents like invoices, payment advices, and purchase orders. And the service delivers a confidence level which shows what kind of a class this document belongs to. In this particular example, 90% that's the confidence level that the service is confident that it's a supplier invoice. This service can be trained on customer data, but SAP provides and maintains a pre-trained model that can be also used out of the box. The second service is document information extraction, and this is also the service that we will be focusing on today. This service extracts semantical information from business documents such as invoices and enriches the information by matching it to uploaded master data. It takes a document image as an input, so you can provide a PDF document or an image file. And so basically the service extracts information from an unstructured document. It doesn't need to be machine readable. The example here in the blue box shows some relevant header fields from a supplier invoice that are automatically being extracted. So for example, the invoice number and the invoice date or the supplier name, but the service can also predict line items of a document. This service comes with pre-trained global models for supplier invoices, payment advices, purchase orders, and business cards. And as of this year, we also provide some extension capabilities for template creation and maintenance. The last service in the portfolio is business entity recognition. This service takes text as input, such as, for example, an email body, and can detect any type of named entity. An example shows 3 potential examples of such business entities that can be extracted from a given text. For example, a payment period, currency, and the city of or the address of a specific text. This service is retrainable with customer data, but also here SAP delivers some pre-trained models for customers to use the service out of the box. So I also prepared one slide which shows the technical overview and the roadmap for document information extraction. By scanning the QR code in the upper right corner, you'll get to SAP Discovery Center, where you'll get also some additional information about this service. So first of all, what I would like to share with you is that this service, as previously mentioned, provides some pre-trained global models for selected business documents, such as supplier invoices, payment advices, purchase orders, and business cards. And these pre-trained models are so-called global models that are managed and further optimized by SAP. Here, per document type, we support selected header fields and also line items. If you follow the links here, it will take you to SAP Help portal, where you will find additional information about the supported fields. We provide support for Latin 1 character encoding scripts, and there is a list of official languages also per document. And this service is also delivered globally in different data centers across the globe. One interesting thing to mention here is that this service can be also used as EU access only on the data center EU11. This service can be consumed via an API that we provide. There is an API reference on SAP API Business Hub. So basically the service can be integrated in any way, but we also provide a user interface application that we will be also showing today later in the exercises. Next to those machine learning models that are pre-trained, we also provide some additional capabilities within the service. So first of all, I wanted to mention our business OCR engine, which is embedded into the service. Since if you want to process unstructured documents, you need to extract the text from these documents first. And within the service, you have dedicated endpoint to get the results of the business OCR engine. Here, business OCR supports some additional languages. And if you follow the link here, you'll find also the list of the languages that you can already use for OCRing your documents. Secondly, there are enrichment capabilities that come with the service. So basically here you can upload your master data related, for example, to your business entities or business partners, such as your suppliers. And we also provide the possibility to upload the employee master data if you want to match the extracted information from invoices to respective employees in your company. If you want to, for example, use the service in combination, for example, with the workflow management. And as previously mentioned, we are also now providing extension capabilities. So now you can create your own schemas, which means you can define your set of fields that you want to extract from a document. And this schema you can then use for template-based extraction. We also maintain a roadmap. So this link here will guide you to our official roadmap at SAP. Here are some highlights for document information extraction specifically. We are currently working to provide a free tier option for document information extraction. And we will, of course, extend the country support for supplier invoices. We are also working on internationalizing the user interface so that it can be provided in different languages. And in 2022, we also intend to integrate the document classification capability that I was previously explaining to you as an integral part of the document information extraction API, so that can be it can be used basically out of the box and seamlessly directly through document information extraction. We are also looking into further extension capabilities, and such capabilities will be announced. All right, so with that, I would like to close the introduction session. Now we will move on with the hands-on workshop. We have prepared a GitHub repository. I pasted here this QR code. So now you can, if you haven't done it before, you can now scan this QR code and you'll be taken to the repository where you find all the information about the exercises and tutorials that we intend to run now. With that, I would like to hand over to Karthik, who will now start with the first tutorial.
All right. Thank you, Tomasz. So all right. So welcome, everyone. And thanks to Tomasz for actually sharing a lot more information about the capabilities on document information extraction and how the future looks like. It looks pretty interesting and exciting. Let's try to have a quick workshop. We'll try to have a hands-on session on how to use a business technology platform, how to consume document information extraction on the business technology platform, and how can you probably create your own schema and also your template, and why are we doing that, and all the we'll try to answer all of these questions in this session. So before we get into any of this, the first thing that I would like to note is basically for participants who already have a trial account, a sub account on business technology platform. And if you've already used the booster to create an instance of document information extraction, please ensure that this is basically of the type of blocks of 100. So this is one thing that you would like to ensure, because with the latest capabilities, the plan that has actually changed from the default plan, standard plan, to the blocks of 100 plan, in order to get the best use of the schemas and the templates, and just to make sure, But if you're new here, and if you've never done this before, if this is the first time you're having business technology platform, and if you're probably going to try a business service here and probably document information extraction, what I'm going to do is quickly give you a run through of how to probably create a service instance, like what are the entity assignments, how do you use the booster, and so on. So what we will first look at is basically the two instances. One is the trial, and one is here I have two accounts. So this is what I mentioned. If you already created an account with EU10 as the region, then good. But if you're new here, then most likely you will be able to, or you will be actually able to only use the US 10 account on trial for document information extraction if you're creating one new. So what I will suggest is go into US 10. And what we can then do is we can create our entitlements. Click on the entitlements on the left-hand side of the browser, configure entitlements. And here we can add service plans. And when we're actually trying to add the service plans, search for document information extraction. So here you will see trial. So make sure that you click on blocks of 100. So this is very important. Please don't choose the default plan. So this is the plan that we are going to use for this tutorial, and also choose the document information extraction trial UI. So here again, choose the default. So here it's perfectly fine if you're choosing the default, and that's the only available plan anyway. So I hope you're done that. Let's add these two plans, and let's save this. Just to make a quick check, we have the trial, blocks of 100. We have the document information extraction trial and the default. So everything's good. And it's also saving the entitlements, which should now be ready. Everything is good. Then let's get into US. What we can do is we can get into the global account. And let's run the booster. So here for the booster, this is where I said it's super easy now. You can just click on, so here we have different AI business services showing up at the booster, and also we have like an ABAP trial as well. But we will look at the setup account for document information extraction. So what this does is it creates a service instance. It also creates a service key, and also creates a subscription for the trial UI as well. So it also subscribes you there. It does makes your life much easier. So click on the start. Now, when we click on the start, you will be shown a UI where you can choose the sub account that you would like to run. In this particular instance, I chose the US 10, as most of the new participants would be doing. And that's it, pretty much. You can just finish this. What it will do, as you see here, is it will assign service quotas, it will create the service instances, it will subscribe to the application, and it will do all the role collections. Everything is done by the booster itself. So this is one quick point here. So yeah, you just have to understand whether you are a new user or if you're an old user, and then act accordingly. So if you're new, then you can simply follow these steps. If you're old, if you've already used document information extraction, just make sure that you're on the right plan. So this will ensure that you get the right access, and you should be able to access the application and do all the tasks that we do today. All right, as you see here, it's super fast. It completes the creation of the service instance as well as the service key. Now let's click on the go to application. As simple as that. So it cannot be any simpler, right? So here we see the document information extraction UI loading up, and here we go. So we have a brand new UI. What we can do is we can quickly check how it looks like. So how just to give you some background here, the document information extraction, the service itself tries to extract structured information from unstructured documents like PDFs and images, right? This is what also Tomasz mentioned earlier. Typical use cases involve invoices, payment advices, purchase orders, and so on. So what we will actually do right now is, first of all, look at how such an invoice actually looks like, and just to give you a bit of a teaser of how a typical annotation would look like on document information extraction. So click on the, maybe let me show you how I did that. So click on the top document UI on the button here. What this will do is this will show up this, and then click on the plus. So this will allow you to upload a document. And click on the add button here, or you could also drag and drop if you're interested. Let's try to upload a sample invoice. So in this case, I just want to show you what is the default capabilities that are available right away. So here you see invoice numbers, supplier, and so many different field names that can be extracted by the service out of the box. So these are the header items, the header fields. And then next comes the line items. So these are different things that actually come below the invoice, right? So we will see also how it looks like in, once the extraction is complete. All right, now that we've chosen the header fields and the line item fields for us to be extracted, we confirm this. Now we will have to wait for a few seconds. The service is super fast. But it's a machine learning service. It still needs to, as you see here, it actually is already complete. It needs to extract this information, but it's super quick that we actually managed to already extract all of the information that we need from this invoice. But this is only the UI, right? But we want to see the results. So click on the extraction results on the right-hand side on the top, and you will see all the confidences, like I said. So here we are talking about, this is basically a machine learning service. So we are going to get, for every extraction, we're also going to get a confidence. It's basically saying this is the invoice date, and this is the invoice date, and the confidence of it. And then you see it's color coded neatly. So you actually know if it is in red, for example, that it's the machine learning model is probably not sure whether this is actually a purchase order. And this is where you get a chance to actually say, as a human being, you can actually review this and you can edit this and confirm if this is actually correct. So yeah, these are the capabilities that are available already on the UI. And so yeah, so this is a quick introduction. So these are the header items. Now let's look at the line items that were extracted. So here we see the description, web design. This is a sample description. Cool. The quantity as well. So this was also correct. Amount and the unit price. Everything is correct. So we see everything has been extracted, and this is good to go. So this is one simple test that we are doing. But what we would like to do is, so just to give you a background of why we would like to create a schema and a template, for example, is that a template is required in cases where, for example, if my document does not conform to such a, such a layout, for example, then now what can we do? So my document does not conform to this. So this is exactly what we are going to do right now. We are going to annotate, and we are going to actually show the service where different entities are going to be available, and the service will be able to learn this and then apply to newer invoice. So it could be purchase orders. So in this particular case, we will be creating a custom purchase order, and we will be showing how you could also create a schema and a template for a purchase order that does not conform to, for example, the out-of-the-box purchase order that is available. All right, I hope you're ready. By the way, so all these steps that we will be doing today are available on the GitHub link, in the link that Tomasz shared sometime earlier. So if at all you're searching for some guided information, for example, these sample invoices, all of them are available on the GitHub link. So if you go there, you could follow all the exercises. It'll be named appropriately. So this was the pre-check, or the exercise pre-check, if I remember, on the GitHub link that we had. So this is the pre-check sample document extraction. What we will then do is we will go into use case 1, so which is the standard document type, where we will now create a custom schema for a purchase order document. I hope you're ready. Okay, so now once you're done here, so let's create a schema configuration. So a typical schema basically consists of what we need, or a set of combinations of fields and their types. And these are going to be useful for us to, say the layout of our template once we are defining the purchase order template later on. So this is exactly what we're going to do now. As you see here, these are some sample or some existing SAP schemas, some purchase order schema, payment advice schema, and invoice schema as well. However, these are non-deletable schemas, which are available out of the box, as you already saw with the sample that we just ran right now. But we are going to create our own schema in order to make sure that we can actually run our example. So let's do that. Let's create a schema. Let's call the schema TechEd schema, for example. TechEd purchase order schema. All right, so we are good. And the document type is purchase order. So we tell the service what type of document we are going to upload. So here we have the TechEd purchase order schema. It's been created. As you see here, it's in the status passive. So now we have to define the header fields that we will be actually using. For the header fields, generally you will be able to get the header fields from the sample document that you typically have. So just to make sure, so in this particular case, we are going to be, you will actually see some sample documents that are available on the service itself. Please feel free to also check those documents. But in your particular, say, for example, if you're creating a custom document for your customer, then please look at your document to make sure that the field types match your document type. In this particular case, we have some field types like purchase order number, SK number, and so on. What we will then do is we will exactly follow this to create the header fields and the line item fields appropriately. So the first header field that we will create is the purchase order number. So in this particular case, click on the plus over here. So you see when I clicked on the schema, so you will actually get this UI here, which neatly allows you to choose whether you would like to add a header field or a line item field. So let's click on add for the header field, and we will create a purchase order number. In this case, let's keep it as a string, and the default extractor as a document number. So let's click on add. That's added. That was fast. The next thing is purchase order status. So let's do a similar task here. In this particular type, it's a type of string. The default extractor, we can leave it as it is. All right, that was easy, right? So let's also add some more. So there are quite a few of this. We're going to add vendor, for instance. Oops. Vendor is of type string as well. And here we have sender name. As you see, it basically pre-fills based on as and when you start typing. Let's add this. Let's click on add again. Now we have vendor site, for example. String. Oops. And the default extractor is sender address. There you go. Okay, so I think this should be sufficient for now. Let's click on the line items that we would like to add. So for the line items, similar to the header items, it should be straightforward as again. Let's click on the add. We here as well, we have quite a few field names that we would like to extract. So let's extract SK number, for instance. And here we have string as a data type. And click on add. So similarly, we can also add unit price net and unit price gross. You can also add description, for instance, as a string. Let's go ahead. That's added. And what else? Why can't we add quantity as well? Good. String. Oops. And quantity. Unit of measure. All right. All right, I think this should be sufficient for now. So let's get going with this and see how it actually works already. Maybe let's say, we've chosen 4 header fields and 3 line item fields. Maybe let's also add one quick one, maybe the total cost. Why not? All right. So that should pretty much complete the list of fields that we would like to set for our schema in order to actually define our template later on. Now that we've just defined this, what we would like to do is, it's not already active, so we cannot actually use it in our use case. What we need to do is we need to activate this so that we can actually use this information in the next steps. So here we go. So here you see the activate step. Click on the activate, and it should then be available for our template creation. I think that was super easy, right? So we just finished creating a custom schema exercise straight away. So that was, I think, should have been rather easy for you as well. So so what we did was all available over here. Next, what we will do is we will define our template. We will actually show the service how the template actually looks like, and probably we will see how we should also probably work with this case. All right, so let's quickly also create another. So similar to the TechEd schema that we added, we will also create a TechEd, a TechEd purchase order template. So you can of course choose to create also give a description as well, but here let's choose it as a purchase order, and we will choose a schema, which is the schema that we just created earlier, TechEd purchase order schema. And in order to set our layout, in order to show the service how our purchase order is going to look like, we will upload a sample document as well, so that we can then annotate this document and tell the service how or where to look for instance, how, for example, the SK number looks like and how the description looks like and so on. All right. So yeah, template is created, press OK. So we will then look at the draft here. So here it's still pending. So probably let's wait for a few seconds until it's done. Oh yeah, that's super fast. So you see, basically, we're already super quick. We've now, as you see here, the purchase order is then available. Let's see that here you see basically the complete purchase order is shown. Let's click on the annotations, and then let's show the service how different annotations actually look like. So, okay, so first, let's show the service where the purchase order number. So it's, as you see here, pretty much none of this is actually defined at this point. Let's edit this and then tell the service. So as you see here, when the service itself understands that these are characters, when you see the gray area. So let's probably zoom in a bit, just to give you an idea of how, to understand these. So the gray backgrounds show that the service actually has seen that this is, as you see here, it's also showing the extraction. This is the OCR at work here. It's actually showing the extracted information, as well as the highlight. The highlight actually says that it already actually knows that these are different words that it already recognized. But it does not know yet what these actually belong to. So the first thing that we will be doing is we will actually annotate it. So for your annotation, choose this annotation. So first thing is we need to show where the purchase order resides for your particular purchase order type, right? So you can either choose, something like this here, or you can directly click here, and that will already pre-fill and annotate and pre-fill the actual field value here. That's a pretty nice feature, I would say. The next one is the purchase order status. So let's choose the approved. This is the status, right? So let's choose this. And yeah, why not? So let's just click this here. And the vendor. So for the vendor, let's click at the vendor here. So the vendor is Retro Drug Inc. Let's click on the vendor here. And for the vendor site, let's choose this. So try to be as close as possible with your annotations. So in case you chose like a larger annotation or so, just try to fit the annotation so that it doesn't overlap with a previous annotation that you did earlier. So this will make sure that the results are robust. It also makes sure that the service actually understands that this is the area that they should, the service should be looking at, just to give you an idea here. So yeah, that was done. So that's pretty fast, I believe. So we've already annotated the purchase order, the purchase order status, the purchase order number, the vendor's name, as well as the vendor site. So it's basically the address. I would say that was fast for annotating the header fields. Let's look at the line item fields. So when you click on the plus here below, it'll already choose a line item. And let's, for example, choose one thing like an SKU here, which is again useful for us. For the line item fields, we will try to actually annotate a few of them so that the service actually knows that there are actually quite a few line items and how it should look for certain patterns. So it's actually best to annotate quite a few so that the service also gets a lot more confident than giving just one example. So again, so let's order next the quantity and the total cost. So let's scroll up to the total cost right here, choose the total cost. All right, so before you click on the field, make sure that the value is actually correct. So, and then click on the field here, you should be good to go. For the sake of completeness, let's annotate one more field, maybe somewhere down here. All right, and the description. All right, so the description is also here. Now let's annotate the quantity. And finally, the total cost. Make sure you're choosing the correct line here. All right, yes. So let's choose that as well. So I think we're pretty much covered. We've done line item 1, line item 2. So we've, first of all, just to recap, we created a schema. We then added some fields for the schema, types of the fields as well. And then now we're using that schema that we just defined in order to annotate a layout of the custom purchase order document that you just have. So yeah, I think this was two examples. We've added some header fields in order to give the service an idea of how the header field should look like. And then also some line item fields that would already give an idea of how the line item fields actually looks like. So yeah, I think this was, nice and easy, I believe. So let's see what next. So then we actually have pretty much defined both of these. Now let's simply save this. Now, when you save it, it actually comes into the draft state. So you'll see that it's still in the draft state. What we then need to do is we need to then activate it, right? So of course, so we've created something. We then have to activate that so that we can actually use it in a real life scenario. All right, so this is now active. So that was really quick. So we created a schema. We created a purchase order document template. And we also then annotated this template. Not only did we annotate it, we were then also activated it. Now we should then probably try it out with real data. So why not we try it out with real data? Let's go back here. Let's upload a document. Let's upload, for instance, in this particular case, a purchase order. But be careful here. And when you choose a schema, choose the TechEd purchase order schema that you just wrote, as well as the TechEd purchase order template that you just created. So yeah, so make sure that in the new try that you're doing, you have these two templates and the schema chosen. For participants who are on the the trial instance, make sure that you also check the trial quotas that you actually have. So for instance, the quotas, you are limited to uploading only 40 documents. And then also you also have a limit on the number of templates and the number of schemas that you can also create. So just bear in mind so that you don't exceed that with your trial account. So, but otherwise, so if you're not on a trial account, if you have a productive account, of course, you feel free to enjoy all of these goodies. So let's upload a document. Here we annotated on order 1. Let's now try it on order 2. So I think you never test on your train, right? So of course you're going to test on something new. So let's do the step 2. As you see here, it's going to ask you to choose the type of fields, but here, since it's a template, it's already pre-chosen. So we will then go ahead. Then we'll also have some line item fields that we can also check out. It's going to extract the SK number, description, quantities, and the total cost. And we will simply review. So here everything looks good. Why don't we try it out and see how it actually works? So as I said before, the service is now it's super fast. As you see, you created a schema, you created a template. Now the service is actually going to run a machine learning model that is going to use the template that you defined, and it's going to extract information on a new data set or a new a data that you just uploaded based on the template that you just created. So isn't that really cool? That's super exciting to me. So yeah, there we go. So I think that was really impressive. So as you see here, I think it's this the template, the document itself seems to be quite similar to our earlier document. But if you look at the extraction results, it actually extracted pretty much everything that we wanted, along with the different line item fields. If you remember, right? So we just highlighted or we just annotated 2 line items, and the service was able to extrapolate from there. It was able to understand that, okay, this is how line items actually look like. For instance, this is how the SKU pattern looks like, or the description actually looks like, or the quantity looks like. So this is how the template itself is trying to understand the patterns of the layout of your particular document, and it's actually extracting this information from new documents as well. So let's quickly review it. If you look at the confidence scores, they're actually pretty good. So quite many of them are actually really nice. So in this particular case, it's not entirely confidence. It's actually saying somewhere around 51 to 79%. Let's look at how confident it is. It's probably not really confident. What we can also do is we can actually say, hey, don't worry. So this is perfectly fine. So if at all there was a change, as you see here, there is actually it's actually extracted perfectly well. So it's good to go, I would say. And the cost is also correct. The quantity is also correct. Everything looks good to me. So typically, a human being is actually needed only to check all of these cases where, now in the earlier setting, what I would have to do is, given the fact that the service did not actually extract all of this earlier, I would have extracted this or, entered this manually into the table. Now, the service can do it super fast with just a few clicks. And I can just check all these, cases where the service is not entirely sure, but also just to make sure, you also check, the cases where it's also 100% sure, or probably more than 80% sure, just to make sure that the service actually did a good job. And this is where machine learning actually sort of excels. So in actually helping human beings, making sure that we do a great job. We just have to review it and make sure that the results are actually correct. So all I have to do is click on this, and I see that this is actually Ampora 30 mg. Really cool. And the core quantity is 2. Yeah, so because my description was the only case where it wasn't really confident, and the service otherwise was actually doing a fantastic job. So let's go to 3. So here again, in most cases, like as you see here, because of the text being, usually text data, alphanumeric as well, the service is also not probably greater than 80% confident. It's not bad, 77% still. It's still extracting a really good job, but it's telling you, hey, wait a minute, probably I'm not sure. So Cali says 40 mg, why don't you check it out? So it's actually correct. So absolutely nothing to worry. And in this particular case, the quantity is also correct. It's 19. And yeah, so basically you see the life becomes a life of a person who is actually entering all this data becomes super easy. And it also makes sure that, you can also, it highlights a lot of these things. And you see the workflow becomes a lot more faster and a lot more easier for someone who's doing some things like this. So yeah, so if everything looks good, to me, it looks perfectly fine. In this particular case, the description is also really, really good. So in this case, I would say probably the service is saying it's actually 95% confident that this is Paricus palatinus. I'm not sure what exactly that is, probably a drug's name, most likely. But yeah, so this is actually extracted the line items. And in most cases, it's actually really confident as well. So in these cases, as time goes, as a human being interacting with an automated service, you will also be able to gauge when it actually makes mistakes and exactly look at only those cases, for instance. And when it's not going to be completely confident, then you know exactly when to get in and only fix those issues. So this is how nice it is when you actually interact with an automated system, and then a human being comes in only to fix everything. That way you can concentrate on the larger scheme of things and making the workflow faster and delivering faster value to the customer. So yeah, once everything is done, I just save it. So basically confirming everything is good. And so yeah, we are pretty much done. So with that, I would say probably, yes, in this case, yeah, I validated everything. You're not able to change. So just make sure that before you confirm that, everything was checked. Yes, I say yes. And now everything is confirmed. The document is closed, it's finalized, and we are good to go. So yeah, I hope that was useful for you. And I hope you were also able to try out the service while I was doing it. But in case you're watching this later on as well, you should be able to do it as well. So I hope this was useful. With that, I will hand it over back to Tomasz, who will then take over to run a custom schema for a custom document. Tomasz?
Okay, so what you have seen so far is the document information extraction service when you want to use it with a standard business document that we also provide support through those global models. So as you can see, you can also add new templates for documents where maybe you have like a very frequent inbound or very frequent documents that are coming from your suppliers or some of your customers, and you want to ensure that you have very high accuracy of extraction from those documents. But on the other side, you can also have use cases where you want to extract information from custom document types. I think there was also one question regarding legal contracts in the chat, whether you can, for example, extract your own clauses from such contracts, or business attributes or named entities. So with this templating functionality that we are currently providing, you can also create schemas and templates for custom document types. And exactly the second part of the session will be focusing on such use cases. And if you go to the GitHub repository, you will be also linked to additional tutorials that show how to do it step by step. And I intend now to show how it works in reality in the application. So for today, we prepared this kind of a document. This is power of attorney. So this is a kind of a document that you issue if you want to authorize someone else or an agent in order to execute on your behalf some legal matters, for example. And as you can see, this is just a random document type with a lot of text on it. But what you can also see is that there are several fields that most likely will occur on the same at the same location, and only the values will change. So basically what you require here is a key value pair that you want to extract from this document. So obviously what you could do is, if this is a machine readable document, you could apply some rules in order to extract the information from, for example, behind, or from next to this key, for example, the string that you want to extract, or whatever you want to do with that. But you have if you have documents that are unstructured, which means scans or images or PDFs that are not machine readable, you obviously need to run it through an OCR engine, and then you would need to apply some post-processing rules. This is obviously very challenging. And with this templating functionality, you will see that it's straightforward and pretty easy to extract these values based on the layout of the document. So what we need to do in the first place, we need to create a new schema for this document type. So for that, you go to this wheel here, and you configure the schema in the section for schemas. So basically what I need to do is here, since I can't use any of the predefined SAP schemas, I will create a new one for a custom document type. There, the dialog window appears, and what I can do now here is put or give a name. Let's name it a custom power of attorney schema, and I need to select a specific document type for that. And since this is not the standard document type, I'll go for a custom schema. Okay, by creating, I just add yet another schema to this list of schemas, and the status of this schema is passive, since it's still empty, right? And what you can see also here is that this schema is not based on an SAP schema because it's of the document type custom. All right, so I'll just open the schema, and you see that there is some metadata about this schema here in the upper section of the window, and here are the list of header fields and line items that I now can start providing for this document type. Let's go back to the document. So I highlighted already some of the fields that I am interested in as a business user, right? So I'm interested in the shipper number, in this identification number, the full name of the company, the address, and then if you scroll down, you want maybe also to extract the role of the one who issues this power of attorney document and the date. Okay, so I need to create those fields in my schema. So we will be adding header fields. So the first one would be the shipper number. Please note that if you issue a name for a schema, there cannot be empty spaces. And for that, we will select also the related data type. In this case, I will go for string because the shipper number can be an arbitrary number. So I will select a string. There are no default extractors, obviously, because we are not using the SAP schema, which is supported by the global model. So now let me add the field, and yet there it is. So we have created a custom field, and the same I will do for all the other fields. So the next one would be the full name. Here again, I'll go for a string. Then the next one was this identification number, EIN. It's also a string. Then the state. Then we have the full address. The capacity, that was the role. And the final one was the date. And For this particular field, we will go for the data type date. And basically that's it. Since this is not a business document such as invoice or purchase orders, there are no line items on this document. So we can leave it out, and we don't need to define any line items. By just activating this schema, I'm actually good to go. You can now see that the status of this schema has changed from passive to active. And with that, the schema is ready to be used for template creation. So we have seen it took me like less than 5 minutes to create a new schema type for a custom document and activate it. And basically with that, we just closed the third exercise of this workshop, creating custom schemas for custom document types. Okay, so now we can go and start creating a template for this particular document type. And for that, I need to go to the template section of the application. And in my case, there are no templates yet there. So what I need to do is basically I need to go through a similar procedure that Karthik was showing for the purchase order document type, which means I need to create a new template. And here in this dialog window, I'll be asked to provide the name. So I will call it custom POE template. I can provide some description. Then I select the document type. In this case, again, it's a custom document type. And then I can add a corresponding schema to that. And since there is only one active schema, I see only this one here on the list. This is the one that I just created. Okay. And in this dialog field, I also can provide one sample document that will be automatically uploaded. So let me upload the first document. And then when I hit create button, then the template will be created. And you can see that I'm now guided directly into the template. And here you can see several useful information. So in this upper section of the UI, again, you see the information about the template, also about the schema that was selected for that, the creation date, description, and the status. And in the lower part, there are two sections, the one for sample documents that you can upload, and the other one for the fields to be extracted from the document. And obviously the extraction fields, they correspond with the schema that I selected. So I see all the header fields that I created and no line items. Okay, so this sample document, when I upload it, it runs through a pre-processing step. And this pre-processing step is basically running the document through the embedded OCR engine within document information extraction. So let's see. I think in the meantime, the pre-processing status has changed to done. And again, here, now I see the preview of the document. And what I can do basically right now, straight away, is I can start annotating this one sample document. And I do it by going on this annotation button. Then I'll get a side-by-side view of the schema, right? And then in order to start annotating the document, I hit the edit button here, and I will be able now to edit annotations. Okay, now you might have noticed that there is this gray overlay in the document. So basically this gray overlay are the OCR results. And you can start annotating the document by drawing bounding boxes around the values that you are interested in, right? So let me select the shipper number here. So now you can see I drew a bounding box, and it's a little bit too big, and yet there's a really nice functionality within this UI that you can adjust the bounding box. You can make it a little bit bigger if you want. So there is this rectangle with the possibility to edit the size of the bounding box. So now I can make it a little bit wider, because maybe the number can be also longer. And I don't need actually this value that is below the number, right? So I just will adjust this bounding box that it only takes the value that I am interested in, okay? So now I can select in this dialog field the field that I want to annotate. And in this case, that's going to be the shipper number. And once I click on that, you will see that the value will be copied also to this section on the right side. See, shipper number was annotated. Okay, let me move on with the other fields. So the next field I'm interested in is the identification number. So here I actually don't need to draw bounding boxes around that. I just click on the value and it gets automatically annotated, right? And I also don't need always to select the field from this dialog box. What I can do, I can just go and click on the field in this right section of the UI, and it will be automatically taken over into the field. All right. So now let me go with the full name. So I select the value, then I annotate it with the full name. Then the same for the state. And I go for the address. And let me scroll down. Let me choose now the capacity. And yet again, it also selected some information that I don't require. So I make it a little bit bigger here. And finally, the date. And by saving, I just saved my annotations to the template. And the only thing I now need to do is I need to activate the template by hitting the activate button. With that, the status of the template changes to active. And with that, the template is ready to be applied for the test documents. So I prepared 2 additional test documents here. So they have a similar layout, as you can see, but different values. So I will upload now those 2 documents to the service with the corresponding template. So again, similarly to the purchase order, the procedure is the same. I want to upload a new document. And I will be now guided through this procedure. So first of all, I need to select the document for the upload. I need to specify that it's going to be a custom document type. Then I select the schema that I will be applying, and then I can choose the template. So since the template has been activated, it is also listed here. You can imagine that if you create additional templates for your use cases, then you don't want to choose the template every time manually. So there is this detect automatically function, which I now will also demo to you. But in this case, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because there is only one template that you can choose. Then in the next step, I can upload the documents. So I can do it via dialog box, or I can just upload the documents directly by dragging and dropping it to the UI. Okay, so now I have the list of those two documents. In the subsequent step, I get the list of the header fields that will be extracted from this document. So you can see all the fields that got annotated. You can't select now the fields here, since if you create a schema, this means that you are interested in extracting exactly those fields from your template, since there is most likely a business reason behind that, and you need those fields, for example, for the subsequent business process step. So in this case, we will extract every, or the UI will extract every field that is part of the schema. In the third step, I could select line items if I had line items to extract, but it's not the case here. So I just proceed with the final step of reviewing whether everything is correct. And then by confirming, I will be now uploading the documents to the service. And you can now see that there is the list of those two documents that I just selected for processing. And since this is an asynchronous call, so now we are currently waiting for the response from the service. So it took like less than 10 seconds to process the documents, and the status automatically changed to ready. Okay, so let's take a look at the first document that we uploaded. And here, what you can see, again, right, the data regarding the document type and the template and schema that was applied for this document. And you can see the bounding boxes around the values that got extracted. If you hover over this bounding box, then you will see also the key that this value corresponds with, in this case, the full name, and also the result, Carter Software Services, right? If you hit the extraction results button here, then you'll get the side-by-side view with the extracted values and with the corresponding confidence value. And in this case, since I think the document is very well structured, and this is really a proper scan with no tilts and no rotation. The quality is very good. The service is very confident at 100% that the values that got extracted are exactly the same that you find on the document. One another nice feature is if you hit the field here, for example, date, the UI will automatically take you to the corresponding value on the document. Okay, so let's take a look on the second document that I uploaded, just to verify it. So again, here you can preview the document. You can see the results side by side. And this is like a perfect extraction for this particular template. So we don't need to adjust anything because every information is correctly extracted. Yeah, by the way, also the date and the format of the date is also well extracted with the corresponding format on the document. And with that, as a business user, I could, for example, now confirm the document. And by confirming the document and the extracted values, I confirmed that the extraction was correct, and the document can be, for example, used now for further process step, kind of an approval, for example, or you can use the data for posting it into the backend system, into your system of record. All right, so with that, I just ended the second part of this tutorial for custom document types, which means creating a custom schema and creating a custom template and extracting the values of such custom document. Okay, so with that, I would now switch back to my presentation. Okay, to wrap up the session today, I also prepared some additional slides that cover some potential use cases that you could implement based on document information extraction. You will also see some use cases related to the other AI business services related to business document processing. I will also share some thoughts on the architecture and how to consume it. And finally, I prepared also a list of consumption options because there are several ways on how you can access these services and consume it either directly or indirectly within SAP business applications. So as you can imagine, there are plenty of possible scenarios where you could apply these service and especially the document information extraction service. And we have seen examples in many domains of an enterprise. So the obvious example, the first one is in finance departments, when you want to extract supplier invoices, and when you want to extract information from supplier invoices in order to accelerate the accounts payable process, for example, or even automate the process, right? However, you can also use it for sales, for example, for intelligent order processing. You could also use it in post-sales campaigns where you require a proof of purchase. So the customer needs to provide, for example, an invoice that the products have been purchased at this company in order to maybe gain some loyalty points or discounts. We have seen also use cases in HR domain. So here, especially in the domain of employee onboarding and admission process, I would like to focus on this use case in a second in more detail. We have also seen use cases related to master data governance, since document information extraction also provide enrichment and matching capabilities with master data. You could, for example, use this service to automate vendor master data reconciliation. So, for example, you want to compare whether the data that you have in your master data governance system corresponds with the data that is on the invoice, because, for example, the address of the company might have changed. You can also think about use cases in document management domain and in legal departments where you have to deal, for example, with the classification of large amounts of incoming documents. So, for example, here this enterprise email inbox handling is one of the use cases where a customer needs to classify incoming documents by a document type. So, for example, whether it's a supplier invoice, whether the documents are related to terms and conditions, or whether it's a purchase order. Depending on the classification, the documents can be then forwarded to the correct department for further processing. In legal departments, you might want to, for example, filter for critical documents that need additional review or checks before they get approved. We have also seen use cases in the lead to cash domain. So here specifically, one of the use cases is related to lead creation from business cards. So imagine that you get back from an event with a bunch of business cards from potential customers, and you want to extract the information from business cards and include it into your CRM system. And another use case is request handling in enterprise service management. here, especially one of the favorite use cases with our customers is the combination with a shared service framework, where you want to help your shared service agents in order to accelerate their work by extracting some relevant information directly from incoming requests. So for example, from the many times you can find information already in an email body, for example, an invoice number or a supplier ID, which can be automatically used then to extract some relevant information from the backend system, right? Similarly, what you can also do with is to extract information from attached documents, for example, from an invoice. And finally, document information extraction can be also combined with other AI business services in our portfolio. For example, with invoice object recommendation. So this is yet another service that helps to maintain your master data in your system. And here we, for example, can think about the use case of intelligent invoice processing with account assignment prediction. So imagine you have an invoice without a reference number, such as purchase order, and you need to assign a corresponding GL account or a cost center to this invoice in conjunction with invoice object recommendation. You could do so based on the data that you extract from the incoming invoice. As I said before, I wanted to have a closer look at this one particular use case of HR admission and onboarding process. The reason for that is that exactly in this use case, this new schema and template creation features of document information extraction are used. And this is exactly one of the use cases that is currently productive with one of our customers from the global food sector. So their issue was that they had a very decentralized HR admission process for new employees, and it was very labor intensive to process a lot of employee related documents, which was a lot of paper handling and very manual process to extract the information from those applicants' documents, personal documents, basically, right? So it ended up with a lot of manual errors and a very long procedure for the new employees, which obviously wasn't a great experience for new hires. So in this particular scenario, the customer applied schemas and templates for a selected number of personal documents of their new hires. So to be more precise, they created 19 unique templates to extract information, for example, from personal IDs, from driver's license, from some other standard documents that you need to provide for the admission, HR admission process. And they outsourced it actually to an application which is given to the prospect employees so that they can upload the documents. So this application enables the new hire to take a picture of his or her documents and upload it to this HR admission process. And while they are doing that, the documents are being processed with document information extraction extension capabilities, and the data is automatically extracted and verified and forwarded to cross-check the data and approve the data to SAP success factors. And exactly this scenario, as I've mentioned, is in productive use by one of our customers. And we got some feedback regarding the benefits and the value, and the onboarding process of new employees is now 3 times faster, which means that there is much less human labor required in order to process those documents. And they also report that the governance process of the data is improved, and they have a much higher control over the overall end-to-end admission process. So that's is some food for thought, where you can maybe start, experimenting with templating and start using it. Most likely there are like many other use cases that you could implement this templating functionality in your company. Now, let me talk briefly about the reference architecture for the AI business services related to business document processing. These services are reusable services or microservices that can be consumed directly from SAP Business Technology Platform. Karthik was explaining at the beginning how you can access the platform and how you can easily entitle yourself for these AI business services. There you have also seen that there are boosters that make it much easier for you to create an instance of the service, to create a service key, or even to assign role collections so that you are ready to go and you can start using the service straight away. We provide those services also in form of RESTful APIs. And with that, they are very easy to be consumed for any kind of integration, be it with an SAP landscape or with a non-SAP application. You can also build your custom applications on top of this service. So think about, for example, this HR admission case with the company that basically outsource the need to upload the documents to the end user. The access to these services is secure through an HTTPS connection and an OAuth2.0 authentication service, which makes it very secure. But you can also alternatively build secure connections with on-prem landscapes if you maintain hybrid architectures via the connectivity service and the cloud connector. So with this flexible architecture, you can basically add AI into any business process or application and do it at low total cost of ownership. I wanted also to share with you some other possible options that you can consume these services already today. So first of all, our aim is to integrate AI business services into our SAP standard business applications in order to provide everyday AI to the already existing users of SAP applications. So I listed here a couple of business applications that already integrated document information extraction as an inherent part of their application. So basically, you use the application without even knowing that you are using the document information extraction in the backend. But we provide support for those business applications. So here, for example, you'll find, for example, invoice-related capture functionalities in SAP Concur Invoice, which is an accounts payable module in SAP Concur. We provide it also within SAP Cash application for payment advice extraction. You will find these capabilities also in Business by Design, in Business One also, so for the small and mid-sized companies. There is also a specific use case for sales order automation in SAP S/4HANA Cloud. And as of 2021 release, you'll also be able to consume this service for sales order creation within the on-premise option of S/4HANA. Yeah, you'll find the services for classification also in SAP S/4HANA document management system, or as mentioned before, you can combine the services in the shared service framework of SAP. The second option that you have to consume this business document processing related services is for custom automation scenarios with SAP Intelligent RPA. I think there was also a question in the chat about that. So you can use it with the on-prem variant of IRPA, so with the IRPA 1.0. But the great news is that since 2109 release, so from beginning of October, you can directly consume document information extraction with all its capabilities within the Cloud Studio of IRPA. There you'll find a PDF SDK, which gives you all the capabilities or access to the capabilities. So basically, you can create templates within IRPA. You can consume those templates there, or you can also use the OCR related endpoint. It's called online OCR within IRPA, which provides you the extracted words, the characters from the text. And then, if you will, you can also apply some post-processing logic if you want to work directly with the plain text. And finally, there is a third option how you can consume the services, which gives you actually a full extension flexibility on the BTP. And here you can use the SAP Cloud integration in order to build more robust, if you want, integrations within your SAP landscape. And here on this slide, I also provided several links that can help you to kickstart with such a scenario. And here we also provide a couple of best practices and content that you can either use for testing, or you can start building on top of this content your own extension scenarios. Okay, so with that, we are at the end of our workshop today. So in summary, you can start already today to test the service. We provide document information extraction, as you have seen in the workshop today, on the trial landscape. So you don't need to invest anything to start using it. Just go to the trial. We provide several tutorial missions. Some of them we covered today in this workshop, but there are many more. So just check the tutorial navigator and search for document information extraction there, and you'll find all the related exercises and tutorials which help you to set up and use the functionalities. So for example, you can also try out the enrichment capabilities of the service there based on a tutorial. The services are obviously also ready to be used productively, and we offer them via different channels. So either you can start directly using AI business services on the BTP if you have a cloud platform enterprise agreement and cloud credits. If that's the case, you just activate the services and you start using them. We also offer them via SAP Store if you want to subscribe. to the service, and there's yet another commercial approach, which is called pay as you go. And here you basically only pay for what you have used within the service. We are, as mentioned at the beginning, working also on the free tier approach. This will be available to you soon as well. For partners who are interested in using the services, we provide the test, demo, and development, so-called TDD license, so that you can also kickstart at low costs with the services. I've mentioned before that we are available on different data centers all over the world. And here's the detailed list. Once again, I would like to mention that we also provide EU access only on the EU 11 data center in Europe. Yeah, I prepared also several links to the main spaces within SAP where you can find further collaterals and content. So please start with SAP Help portal. There is a lot of information about our services. We are available, of course, on SAP Discovery Center. There you'll find the links to the pricing estimator, to some best practices, blueprints, to missions that you can also start executing. The services are also available on SAP API Business Hub. So there you can check all the endpoints and the references of our APIs. And we also maintain an SAP community. And there are a lot of new blogs with new content, best practices being published there. So stay tuned and get back to us if you have any further questions or need to support with these services. With that, I would like to thank you for your attention. It was a pleasure having you today. I hope you liked the session. And with that, I would like to close the workshop and hand over back to the moderator.